Welcome back to Big Bear Bend. I, Raven, have hidden the microphone once again in a new secret location, and hopefully Jackal will have a bit more difficulty finding it this time. But that's a non-issue. What is an issue is the continuity errors that might have slipped through. Simply ignore these, and everything will be fine. Worry not for us, but for yourself. Today we are focusing on grizzly bears for our new exhibit. North America has 3 native bear species: the polar bear, which we have already found a home for here at the zoo; the American black bear, which doesn't exist in Plant Zoo, so therefore does not exist at all. Forget them completely. And of course, we have the grizzly bear, which is what we'll be talking about today. Grizzly bears, you see, are brown, but saying brown bear is far too generic. Grizzlies live across the western and northern United States, up into Canada, and out to the coasts of Alaska. The most famous subvariant of these is the Kodiak bear, which is a form of grizzly. Thankfully, Kodiak bears are confined to Kodiak Island. It is a blessing, you see, because they are the largest and most aggressive kind of grizzly bear, already a formidable bear species alone. While being larger, they are not much different from any other grizzly in terms of their life and habits. Keep in mind these lovely bear facts as you witness some very interesting building today. First off, not all bears hibernate. However, grizzlies are one of the species that do. During the winter, they will find a confined space, which could be a burrow, a hollow log, really anywhere covered that they can squeeze into and enter a kind of stasis mode. During this period, they burn most of their fat reserves, and pregnant females will also give birth during this time. But we will come back to that. It is false to say that the bear is completely asleep and cannot be woken up. They do occasionally wake enough to regain consciousness, but this is only for brief periods of time. However, they do not leave their den unless absolutely forced to, and they do not hunt or travel very far from the den. They don't even drink water, relying entirely on their fat stores in a similar way that camels do. Hibernation is both a blessing and a curse. The winter months in the grizzly's home range are brutal. Most of its prey species, like deer, struggle to find enough food during this time as it is, and many are lost due to the starvation or hunting by predators. Bears simply not being in the picture increases the chance that the prey species will survive till spring and reproduce. This benefits the bears because when they wake up, they will have plenty of prey. However, to develop large enough fat stores for hibernation, the bears must eat constantly, and they must eat high-calorie and nutritious diets, ideally consuming 6,000 plus calories per day. If they don't have enough, it is likely that they will starve to death during the hibernation. And due to this, grizzly bears are indiscriminate omnivores. They will eat anything from elk and fish to berries and mushrooms to invertebrates like crab. They have even been seen eating whale carcasses that have washed up on shore, or even tree bark on their search for insect nests. If it is organic and they can get their mouths on it, they will eat it, no questions asked. Due to a combination of their eating habits, as well as their natures as a bear-type species, grizzly bears are territorial, but their aggression towards other bears depends on a lot of other factors. When food is plentiful, many bears will share in the same hunting area. On Kodiak, explorers have seen as many as 8 bears gathered together on the same beach feasting on a crab. This communal behavior is more frequent during the summer months, when food is very plentiful. During spring and late fall, however, this tolerance tends to fall off completely, and they once again become totally solitary and aggressive towards each other. Summer is an especially important season, not just for eating everything in sight, but also for mating. Grizzly bears will mate between May and July. However, the resulting embryo will not implant until the mother starts to hibernate. It will simply remain in a kind of stasis during this time. If the female is healthy enough and has a large enough fat store, the embryo will then implant. If not, it will be reabsorbed and she will try again next year. It is mostly dependent on whether or not she has the fat stores. If she doesn't, due to the fact that both her and any cubs she would produce would starve during this process, it's best for her not to, have children. However, if the pregnancy is successful, the bear will have 1 to 2 cubs. These will remain with their mother for about 2 to 3 years. She will not mate during this time and instead devote all of her attention to raising these specific cubs. After that time, she chases the cubs off. While this can seem harsh, it is for their safety, as the males she is attracting may attempt to kill them. They may travel and even den together for a period of time before going their separate ways. Female bears do not sexually mature until around 5 years old, and males, they tend to mature around the same time, but may not mate again for a few years more due to inexperience, territory disputes, and the presence of more mature males in the area. Grizzly and black bears do not travel far from their original home territory. Males will travel out of range of larger males and attempt to set up a new territory, though this can take years. Their territory ranges are also larger than females, and tend to overlap with many different female areas. However, female bears will often stay near their mother's territory, even overlapping with it. This means it takes a very long time for the bears to expand into fresh territory and can result in density pockets, i.e. too many bears in one area. Grizzlies have an enormous impact on their environment simply because they need to eat so freaking much. Nothing and no one is safe, and this results in an overall regulation of the local ecosystem. Because the bears are omnivorous, they eat food that would otherwise be dedicated to every level of the trophic ladder, from mice to wolves to bison. However, that is not a bad thing. Overabundance of any one resource throws the entire ecosystem out of balance. You see, by putting pressure on all parts of the ecosystem, they help to put controls on resources that are otherwise not being properly managed. For example, if there aren't enough deer to eat berries, those berry bushes can strangle out a section of forest after a few seasons. Bears have a difficult time catching deer, but berry bushes are free food. The bear will eat the excess berries, thereby giving the deer more room to roam and forage, other plants the opportunity to grow into that space, and it will flush out rodent nests, giving food to birds and small predators. The list of what they do goes on and on for the environment. Grizzly bears, however, also have a huge impact on Native Americans, as by studying the bears they can learn the best places to hunt and forage. They also feature heavily in many legends, religions, and cultures. This impact extends to Western culture as well. The word bear has a long and convoluted etymological history. In many places in Europe, the local word for bear was usually derived from euphemisms, as acknowledging the creature might bring its wrath upon you and your family, or so the theory went. Essentially, if we just don't acknowledge it, maybe it won't notice us. In different languages, the root for bear may come to anything from honey eater to describing the bear's physical attributes. Eventually, as the myths faded out or terms became more firm, the local word for bear solidified to refer to the actual creature itself. My favorite example of this is actually the grizzly bear. Their scientific name, Ursus arctos horribilis, literally translates to bear the horrible. Going even further, arctos meaning bear, the word Arctic means the place where bears live, while the Antarctic refers to the place where the bears don't live. Funnily enough, it was named such before they'd proven that there were no bears in the Antarctic. So it's fortuitous that they got that right, or else the jokes would be unbearable. Some facts about grizzly bear safety. Grizzly bears are a bit like moose. If you see one, it's too late. Do not try to fight it. You will die. Unless you are downwind and have been for a while, it's likely that the bear already knows you are there, because their sense of smell is incredible. It has to be. If you're looking for root vegetables at all hours of the day, simply give the bear as much space as possible, and whenever you can safely leave the area, you should. If that is not an option, well, may God bless you and keep you. Or any other individual that you hopefully pray to. You will die. Unsurprisingly, most of your safety comes down to keeping the bear as uninterested in you as humanly possible. To that end, a lot of places with bears will develop bear-resistant trash bins and dumpsters in order to reduce the chances they will raid the property. I say bear-resistant, not bear-proof, because a lock is only going to do you so much good when their claws can tear through metal if they put enough force behind it. Bear-resistant devices are designed to keep interest objects out of the bear's reach, or to withstand enough of a beating that the bear gets the idea and leaves. Bear-proof locks are designed so that a bear cannot open the device through any kind of clever paw work, which they are absolutely capable of doing. If you intend to spend any amount of time camping or living in a place that requires bear-proof locks, it's a good idea to learn how to use them and learn to open them as quickly as possible, because they can also be a bit human-proof as well. There are multiple, like far too many, TikToks of people having their house invaded by a bear. If you live in a place with any species of bear, fortify your doors and windows the next chance you have, because a round doorknob is not a deterrent. If a bear gets into your house, I'm sorry to have to tell you this, but it's the bear's house now. Homeowner's insurance may cover the damage done by the bear, but you will need to either have a policy or check that your policy does in fact cover wildlife damage with bears included. Bears are not the favorite friend that you think they are. And do keep in mind, especially those of you who wish to go and spend time in Alaska, that bears will take over entire territories. Even in downtown Juneau, you can see them wandering sometimes. Anchorage, all sorts of places. They will decide to just live in the area, and we have no say over it, because most of them are considered, well, an animal that is to be protected. And as a protected animal, you can't even bear spray them, which would kill the bear. Fun fact. Once more, I would like to thank you for watching. I don't care if you like, subscribe, do what you're going to do. At the end of the day, it's no sweat off my back. Heck, I'm surprised that anyone is watching this, in fact. But you know what? We here at Big Bear Bend love doing what we do. So thank you. Now, if only I could convince Jackal to care about this channel nearly as much as all of you do. Have a wonderful, wonderful time of whatever day, night, or bathroom break you're taking now. Goodbye.